Welcome to Garden Ideas, where creativity grows as naturally as the plants we love. Today, we're transforming everyday bottles, those simple glass or plastic containers you'd usually throw away, into 18 inspiring DIY projects that will bring color, charm, and practicality to your backyard or garden. From glowing night paths to upside-down tomato chandeliers, these ideas are proof that beauty doesn't have to cost much and creativity has no limits. Whether you're here for a weekend craft or a long-term project, you'll find something you can start today, right where you are. So, settle in with a cup of tea. Let your mind wander through these possibilities. And if you love what you see, don't forget to subscribe to Garden Ideas for more inspiring and practical creations. Your next project might just be one bottle away. Some gardens live in the soil, sprawling across rows and beds. Others hang quietly in the air, close enough for you to touch without bending. The hanging bottle herb hammock is a little invention born from both necessity and a love for fresh flavor. Picture a row of simple plastic soda bottles, once bound for a recycling bin, now suspended like little hammocks from a porch beam or balcony railing. Inside, soil cradles the roots of basil, mint, thyme, each leaf bursting with scent when brushed by your fingers. The bottles sway ever so slightly with the breeze, their gentle motion keeping the air fresh around the plants. On mornings, you step outside barefoot, scissors in hand. The air still holds the coolness of night. You reach for a sprig of rosemary for breakfast potatoes, or a handful of mint for your tea. The bottles are hung at just the right height. No digging, no kneeling, no strain. It's a design as practical as it is poetic. You need only a few bottles, a bit of twine, and the will to cut a neat window for your plants. Drainage holes keep the roots happy, while the open side lets the sun warm the soil. Over time, these hanging gardens become more than convenience. They become a living part of your home, a bridge between your hands and the season's green gifts. At night, a garden changes its language. The chatter of leaves quiets to a whisper, and the air grows heavier with scent. It is then that the glow-in-the-dark bottle guides begin their gentle work, tracing your steps with light that feels more like a welcome than a warning. These bottles were once ordinary, green soda glass, clear water jugs, perhaps a tall olive oil bottle from the kitchen. Now they stand like silent sentinels, their insides coated with glow paint that soaks up daylight, only to release it slowly into the night. Buried neck down or placed upright along the path, they are both decoration and direction. Walking the path in the cool of evening, you notice how the light is not harsh, but soft and steady. It's a glow that doesn't push the darkness away, but mingles with it, creating a space where you can see just enough. Perfect for finding your way to the garden bench, the hammock, or the herb bed without fumbling. Making them is as simple as rinsing a bottle, adding a swirl of glow paint, and letting the sun do the rest. Choose colors that suit your garden. Emerald green for the vegetable patch, amber for the flower beds, or pale blue for the walkway to the gate. Over time, they become part of the garden's nighttime personality, a quiet magic that turns even the smallest backyard into a place you want to wander after sunset. When daylight begins to fade, some gardens grow quiet. But in the corner of this one, a tree blooms just as the sky darkens. It's not a tree you'll find in nature, though it feels as if it belongs there, a bottle fairy light blossom tree. Its flowers born from yesterday's recycling and today's small act of care. The branches can be anything you have, a prune limb from the maple out front, a driftwood vine from a walk, or even crafted poles painted to look like bark. Onto each branch, you attach petals made from cut and shaped plastic bottles, clear or brushed in pastel colors. Inside each blossom, a warm light glows, powered by the simplest of fairy strings. At dusk, they awaken one by one, as if the stars themselves had chosen to settle here for the night. The light spills gently over nearby pots and stones, casting petal-shaped shadows on the ground. It's not a blinding brightness, but the kind that invites you to linger, maybe with a cup of tea, maybe just with your thoughts. It's a project that feels almost like play. Cutting the bottles, curling their edges, brushing on color. These are moments you can share with children, friends, or simply keep to yourself. And when you switch on the lights in the evening, you see not just a decoration, but the memory of making it. In that quiet glow, the garden becomes a little more yours, a a little more alive, and a little more like a place where dreams don't wait for daylight. Tomatoes don't always have to grow toward the sun. Sometimes they flourish while hanging gracefully toward the earth, like a living chandelier in the heart of a small space. This upside-down tomato bottle planter is as much a conversation starter as it is a clever gardening trick. It begins with a sturdy plastic bottle, its bottom cut away to become the top. The young tomato seedling is threaded gently through the bottle's neck, roots kept safe inside. Rich, well-draining soil fills the rest, and the whole piece hangs securely from a beam, hook, or balcony railing. From here, gravity takes over. The vine stretches downward, leaves unfurling, blossoms turning into tiny green pearls, and eventually into bright, sweet tomatoes dangling within easy reach. With no soil contact, the risk of rot or ground pests nearly disappears. Watering is simple. Just pour into the top opening and let the moisture filter down. In a small apartment balcony or a narrow patio, this design frees up floor space while giving you the satisfaction of growing fresh food. On warm afternoons, the plants sway gently, their movement helping the stems grow stronger. Harvest time is a delight. You lift a hand, pluck a ripe tomato, and feel the warmth that's stored from the sun. Slice it for a salad, pop it straight into your mouth, or share it with a neighbor who never believed tomatoes could grow upside down. In its quiet way, this project turns an ordinary bottle into both a garden and a little hanging miracle. As the last gold of sunset slips away, there's a moment when the garden feels suspended between day and night. That's when the wine bottle torches awaken, small, steady flames that turn a backyard into a warm, inviting retreat. Each torch begins as a bottle saved from the recycling bin. A green one might glow deep and earthy, an amber bottle casting a honey-colored light. Inside, a small pool of lamp oil waits, drawn upward by a tiki-style wick or a simple copper fitting made to hold the flame. Mounted securely along a fence, nestled into holders by the patio, or placed in stands among the flower beds, they bring both light and character to the space. The flames don't roar, they dance. They sway slightly when the breeze passes, casting soft shadows that make the garden seem alive in a new way. Sitting nearby, you hear the subtle pop of burning oil, smell a faint trace of warmth, and feel time slow just enough for conversation to linger or silence to be comfortable. There's practicality here, too. These torches can help keep away insects, especially if you choose citronella oil. But their greatest gift is ambience. They make an ordinary evening feel like a gathering worth remembering, even if you're the only one there. When the night grows deeper, you snuff them out, the glass still warm in your hands. Tomorrow, they'll be ready again to light your path, your table, or simply the space where you pause to breathe. Some borders are meant to separate, but this one exists to invite the eye. A line of colored glass bottles, standing shoulder to shoulder, creates a frame for the garden that changes with the sun and the seasons. The bottles might come from years of saved wine, a friend's collection of soda glass, or a lucky find at a flea market. Each has its own hue, emerald, sapphire, amber, that catches light differently. Buried upside down, their smooth bases reflect the sky, the flowers, and the slow passage of the day. In the morning, the dew clings to them, tiny drops catching the first light like jewels. By afternoon, they shine so brightly you'd think they were lit from within. And in the evening, if you place a few solar lights nearby, they glow softly, holding the last warmth of the day. Making a mosaic bottle border is simple, but asks for a bit of patience. You choose each bottle, decide its place, and press it firmly into the soil so it stands straight. Arranging them becomes an unhurried ritual, a chance to match colors, play with patterns, and create something no one else has. Over time, the bottles weather slightly, their colors deepening, edges softened by rain and wind. What began as a way to edge a bed becomes a living artwork, one that changes as your plants grow, bloom, and fade. And in every season, it reminds you that beauty often comes from the things we once set aside, now given a new place to belong. Some of the best garden helpers never need reminding. The self-watering wine bottle pod is one of them. Quiet, reliable, and beautiful in its own understated way. It starts with a bottle you'd normally toss into the recycling bin. Washed clean, it becomes more than just glass. filled with water and inverted into the soil, offers your plants a steady drink, drop by drop, only when they need it. The earth draws the moisture slowly, keeping roots hydrated without the guesswork of daily watering. On bright afternoons, sunlight filters through the glass, making the bottle gleam like a jewel nestled among leaves. If you use green or amber glass, it adds a rustic charm. Clear glass catches every glint of light. In a row of pots along a balcony railing or beside the kitchen door, they look like a quiet, organized line of caretakers. There's practicality in this too. It's perfect for busy weeks, summer heat, or trips away from home. Your plants remain healthy, their soil evenly moist, their leaves full and glossy. And unlike bulky irrigation systems, this method is simple. Just refill the bottle and let it do its work. Over time, you may start to see the bottle as part of the plant's life, not just a tool. It stands there day after day, turning what was once a piece of waste into a constant source of care. And in that, there's a quiet beauty, the kind that happens when we give something a second life and it returns a favor by helping something else grow. Some sound belong in a garden as much as the wind in the leaves or the song of a bird. The gentle trickle of a cascading fountain is one of them. Steady, calming, a thread of music that ties the day together. And this one is made not from stone or marble, but from simple bottles given a second life. 3 or 4 sturdy plastic bottles are cut and shaped so that each one pours into the next. They rest on a slope, perhaps a wooden stand, stacked bricks, or even inside flower pots, allowing the water to flow naturally downward. At the bottom, a shallow bowl catches a stream, its surface rippling softly. A small solar-powered pump keeps the water moving in a quiet cycle, no cords or electricity needed. In the afternoon, sunlight plays across the droplets, scattering little flashes of light onto nearby leaves. The air feels cooler where the water runs, and the sound fills the space without overwhelming it. You can hear from the kitchen window, or from a chair where you've set down a cup of tea. Building it is not just about the result. It's about the pace. Cutting, fitting, adjusting the angle so the water runs just right. The project invites you to slow down, to notice the weight of a bottle in your hand, the way water curves as it falls. And once it's finished, it's more than a decoration. It's a small, living piece of peace that belongs to your garden alone. The earliest days of a plant's life are the most delicate. A sudden gust, an unexpected frost, or a curious bird can undo days of careful tending. That's why many bottle greenhouses feel almost like guardians, small, simple, but quietly effective. Made from clear plastic bottles with the bottoms neatly cut away, these little domes fit gently over seedlings, pressing slightly into the soil to hold them steady. Inside, warmth gathers, the air moist and still, just the kind of comfort young plants need to stretch their first leaves toward the light. In the morning, you might see a thin veil of condensation along the inside walls, proof that the miniature climate is working. On cooler days, the trapped warmth helps seedlings grow faster, their stems sturdy, their leaves a deeper green. When the sun climbs high and the air grows warm, you can twist the bottle's cap off and let a soft breeze in, keeping the balance just right. They're not fancy, and they don't need to be. In fact, their charm lies in their simplicity. You can make a dozen in less than an hour, using nothing but discarded bottles and a pair of scissors. Over time, you'll come to see them not just as tools, but as little symbols of care. Each one is a promise that you'll give the plant a fair start, sheltering it until it's strong enough to face the world on its own. And when that day comes, lifting the bottle away feels like sending something you've nurtured out into the wider garden, knowing it will stand on its own. There's a certain joy in watching a bird land just a few steps away from you, wings folding as it settles to eat. A plastic bottle bird feeder with wooden spoon perches makes that joy a daily gift. Not just for you, but for the birds who come to visit. The idea is charmingly simple. A clean plastic bottle, a couple of wooden spoons, and a small knife are all you need. Holes are cut into opposite sides of the bottle, so that the spoons can slide through, the bowl of each spoon sitting just outside to catch a small trickle of seeds. The handle inside holds them steady, while the seeds above naturally fall to refill the perch. Hung from a branch, a shepherd's hook, or even under the eaves, the feeder becomes a tiny gathering spot. In the morning, You might spot sparrows balancing lightly on the spoons, or a finch tilting its head to peer inside. They eat, they chirp softly, and sometimes they return the favor by scattering a seed or two into the soil below. This feeder asks for no more than a moment of maintenance. Refill when empty, check that the holes stay clear, and enjoy the company it brings. In return, it offers connection. You begin to recognize familiar visitors, learn their habits, and find a certain peace in their unhurried rhythm. Over time, the feeder becomes part of your garden's life cycle, turning what was once trash into a bridge between your space and the wild, one wooden perch at a time. There's a kind of magic in a hummingbird's arrival, the soft hum of its wings, the glint of sunlight on feathers that shift from emerald to ruby in a heartbeat. A glass nectar feeder can turn that fleeting visit into a daily moment, bringing these living jewels close enough to watch in quiet awe. The feeder begins simply, a small, clean glass bottle, its narrow neck fitted with a special feeding tip or a sponge insert. Inside, a mixture of sugar and water, 1 part sugar to 4 parts water, becomes a nectar. Clear and pure, it's a safe and natural food for these tiny visitors. Hung from a tree branch or under the shade of a pergola, the feeder catches the light, the glass glowing softly in the garden's colors. The trick is to place it near bright blooms, especially reds and oranges, which draw hummingbirds in like a whispered invitation. When they arrive, they hover with impossible grace, sipping delicately, their wings a blur. You might stand just a few feet away and feel the air shift from their movement, hear the faintest buzz of effort as they feed. It's a privilege they grant only when the space feels safe. Maintaining the feeder is as important as filling it. Cleaning it regularly to keep the nectar fresh ensures your garden remains a place of health and trust for them. In time, you'll begin to recognize the same visitors, their patterns of arrival, even their favorite perch. And every time they pause midair, suspended between you and the open sky, you'll feel a little of that magic settle in your own day. Proof that even the smallest garden can hold wonders worth waiting for. There are plants that thrive with a splash of water now and then, and there are those that prefer a steady drink, especially under the heat of summer. Slow drip bottle irrigation speaks their language, a patient, measured trickle that keeps roots quenched without drowning them. The design is beautifully simple. A clean plastic bottle, a few small holes poked near its base, and a careful burial beside the plant you want to care for. Fill it with water, cap it, and let time and gravity do the rest. Over hours or even days, the moisture seeps into the soil exactly where it's needed, deep at the roots where growth truly begins. For thirsty plants like tomatoes, cucumbers, and peppers, this method can mean the difference between wilted leaves and full harvests. The soil stays evenly moist, preventing the stress of dry spells or the shock of sudden flooding. It's also a quiet solution for those days when you're away or simply too busy to make the garden rounds. In the soft light of morning, you can see the bottle's surface glistening with dew, the earth around it dark and cool to the touch. By evening, the plant stands tall, its leaves open wide to catch the fading sun. And perhaps best of all, this system turns something ordinary, a bottle that might have been thrown away, into a lifeline. It's a reminder that with a little thought, care doesn't have to be complicated or costly. Sometimes it's just a matter of giving what you have, slowly and steadily, until it's enough. Some garden sounds are planned, water flowing from a fountain, footsteps on gravel, but others drift in like a gift. The gentle melody of bottle wind chimes is one of those gifts, arriving with each passing breeze, carrying a softness that feels like an old memory. These chimes begin as simple bottles, their necks and edges carefully smoothed after cutting. They can be left whole or shortened, depending on the tone you want. Inside or below, you hang small treasures, vintage keys, metal washers, spoons, or colorful beads, each one chosen as much for its sound as for its story. Hung from a porch, a tree branch, or even along the garden fence, the chimes respond to the wind with a voice that's never the same twice. Sometimes at a faint tinkling, other times a fuller, warmer note. In the quiet of the afternoon, it feels almost as though the garden is singing back to you, making them as part craft, part listening exercise. You choose the objects, tie each with fishing wire or thin chain, and test the sound before it finds its place. It's a slow, thoughtful process, and when it's done, The result is more than just decoration. It's a small piece of music built from things that once had no purpose. On breezy days, the chimes can fill the space with a gentle chorus. On still days, they hang quietly, catching the light and waiting. Either way, they remind you that beauty in a garden isn't only what you see. It's also what you hear and how it makes you feel. In a garden where most colors come from petals and leaves, a painted bottle totem pole stands like a joyful exclamation point. It's a burst of pattern and hue that stays bright no matter the season, built from nothing more than saved bottles and a little paint. The process begins with gathering bottles, glass or plastic, tall or short. Once clean and dry, they become blank canvases. Acrylic paints cling well to glass, especially when you first apply a thin primer. From there, the design is entirely yours. Bold stripes, soft florals, playful polka dots, or swirling patterns that feel like a dance. Stacking them is part puzzle, part sculpture. A sturdy rod or rebar runs through the center, holding each bottle steady as they rise into the air. At different heights, the poles can stand alone as focal points or gather together in clusters, like a family of colors watching over the garden. In bright sunlight, the painted surfaces gleam, their tones shifting slightly with the angle of the light. On cloudy days, they bring cheer when blooms are closed and the sky feels muted. And in winter, when the beds are bare, the totems remain, quiet reminders that gardens don't sleep entirely. They're as much about self-expression as they are about upcycling. Each brushstroke is a choice, each bottle a reclaimed piece of color, and over time, these towers become part of your garden's identity, a signature splash of joy, rising proudly among the greens and golds of the living world. In the early weeks of the planting season, a garden can look like a sea of green mystery. Leaves sprout, stems stretch, but which is parsley and which is coriander? Bottle cap garden labels solve the puzzle with a touch of charm, adding both clarity and color to your planting beds. These small markers start as saved caps from soda or water bottles, sturdy enough to withstand sun and rain. A waterproof marker turns the inside surface into a tiny signboard bearing the name of the plant it guards. Glued onto a wooden skewer, chopstick, or bamboo stick, the cap stands upright in the soil, easy to spot at a glance. The colors can be playful: green caps for herbs, blue for vegetables, red for flowers, or completely mixed for a patchwork look. In the soft light of morning, dew might cling to the edges, tiny beads of water catching the sun as you walk the rows. Beyond organization, these labels become part of the garden's personality. They signal care, not just in planting, but in tending. They make it easier for guests, children, or even your future self to know what's growing where. And there's something satisfying in their simplicity. A cap that might have been discarded now stands as a useful, cheerful marker in the soil. It's a small act of reuse, multiplied by the number of plants in your care, each one given a name and a place in your green world. Every gardener knows the small frustrations: scissors that vanish, twine that unravels, gloves that seem to wander off. Hanging bottle storage bins turn those little inconveniences into moments of order, using nothing more than what would have been waste. The idea begins with large plastic bottles, juice jugs, soda bottles, or even cooking oil containers. Cut lengthwise, the open has become deep pockets for storing small essentials. Smooth the edges with sandpaper or cover them with tape. Then punch a hole at the top for hanging. Mounted on a shed wall, fence hook, or pegboard, each bin holds something different. One for gloves, one for hand trowels, one for packets of seeds. Clear bottles let you see exactly what's inside, while opaque ones can be painted or labeled for a neater look. In the morning, you reach for your shears and find them exactly where they belong. When it's time to tie up a vine, the twine is right at your fingertips. The bins keep your workspace tidy, but they also make the act of gardening feel smoother. Less about searching, more about doing. There's beauty in their simplicity. They cost nothing to make, fit into even the smallest corners, and can be rearranged whenever your needs change. Over time, they become part of your gardening rhythm, always ready, always within reach. And when you step back at the end of the day, tools clean and tucked away in their clear bottle pockets, there's a quiet satisfaction in knowing that a small act of reuse has made your space both more functional and more your own. Some moments in a garden are too special to let pass unnoticed. birthdays under the trees, a neighbor's visit, or simply the first warm evening of the season. Celebration bottle vases turn these moments into something you can see, touch, and remember. They start as ordinary bottles, wine, soda, or sparkling water, cleaned and dried. From there, the transformation is as personal as the celebration itself. Lace wrapped around the neck, burlap tied in a neat bow, or a coat of soft paint brushed over the glass. Gold accents can shimmer in the sun, while delicate twine adds rustic charm. Slip in a handful of fresh blooms, roses from the garden, lavender sprigs, or even wildflowers gathered on a walk. For evening gatherings, tuck a strand of warm fairy lights inside the bottle, letting the glow spill gently through the petals and lace. Arrange along a table, lined up on a windowsill, or clustered on a patio corner. These vases bring a touch of occasion to any space. The flowers give fragrance and life. The bottles, with their careful details, tell the story of effort made for beauty's sake. And when the evening is over, the vases remain, ready to hold new flowers, new lights, new memories. They're proof that celebration doesn't require extravagance. It only needs the right touch of care, a little creativity, and a willingness to make something special out of what you already have. In the soft glow of those lights, every moment feels just a little more worth keeping. Some garden ideas are about beauty, others about function, and then there are those made simply for the joy of being together. The bottle ring toss game belongs to that last category, turning an ordinary patch of grass into a place of laughter and friendly competition. The setup couldn't be easier. Gather a set of bottles, glass or plastic, and give them a splash of personality with bright paint or pattern wrapping. Cluster them together on the lawn, a low table, or even inside a shallow wooden crate to keep them steady. The rings can be made from rope, embroidery hoops, or even old bicycle tires cut and taped into circles. On a sunny afternoon, the game begins. Players take turns tossing rings, aiming to loop them over the bottlenecks. Points can be assigned for each bottle, or you can simply cheer for every good throw. The air fills with playful shouts, the occasional groan of near miss, and the satisfying clink of successful toss. What's special about this game is how it draws people in. Children and grandparents play side by side. Friends join without needing much explanation. It's as much about the shared moment as it is about winning. When the game ends, the bottles remain decorative, cheerful, and ready for the next gathering. In between, they add a touch of whimsy to the garden, a reminder that this space isn't only for plants and quiet. It's also for connection, movement, and the kind of joy that comes from simply playing together in the open air.